Deck user in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 211, The Direction of the College. Hikaru shuffled his deck in the waiting room. His current deck had been updated quite a bit. Though it still lacked a cohesive core engine, he felt it was at least usable by someone unfamiliar with it. Whether or not it could win was another matter, but at least it could function. Promotion within the academy. Upgrading from a lower dorm to a higher one, like red to yellow, or yellow to blue, was something indeed established in the original series. Normally, students in Obelisk Blue were promoted straight from the junior division. Chaz was a prime example. Even someone like Bastion, who ranked first in entrance exams and had an excellent dueling performance, could only start in RA Yellow. And in the original, Cyrus was explicitly shown to progress from Slifer Red to RA Yellow, then to Obelisk Blue. Though Hikaru still couldn't figure out how someone like Cyrus, who napped through class with Jaden, managed to get promoted. Maybe Jaden truly slept through class on purpose, while Cyrus secretly studied hard and impressed everyone behind the scenes. Either way, promotions weren't that big a deal, they happened. So, Hikaru picked up his deck and leaned back in his chair. Why are there so many humans outside? Tiara floated in the air, peeking out the window before turning to ask him. This isn't a big deal, right? Right. This really wasn't a big deal. To be honest, ever since Funglo Corporation began sponsoring him, Hikaru hadn't lacked for money. He no longer had to eat bread crusts or mooch cafeteria leftovers while studying and researching. His base of operations wasn't even in the dorms anymore, it was the Grand Universe Workshop. So even if he were promoted from yellow to blue, the main benefit, a larger, more luxurious dorm room, meant nothing to him. Promotion? Didn't matter. At his current level of reputation, no one in Obelisk Blue would dare boss him around anyway. While Hikaru was deep in thought, back in the principal's office, two staff members were having a heated argument. One of them was Professor Growler, familiar to Hikaru as the Pot of Greed Professor. The other was a stocky, balding man in formal attire with a curled mustache, head instructor Napoleon. That head instructor role was effectively the vice principal. While Principal Shepard was away on business, Growler had been temporarily appointed as acting principal, with Napoleon as his assistant. Now, the two were clashing. Zane Truesdale lost a crucial duel. We need a new direction, Napoleon said. Frankly, we should just shut down the Slifer Red dorm entirely. Mamma mia. How can you say that? Even poor students deserve a place to grow. What? Do you want them camping in the wilderness? Then expel them. Duel Academy doesn't need those failures, Napoleon retorted. We've finally secured corporate partners and investors. They need to see results. Slifer Red is a stain. Super mamma mia, and no, this, Growler shook his head like a spinning roulette. The mission of this school is always education. If we abandon that, if we treat students like tools and commodities, how can we call this a school? He argued passionately. No matter what. Napoleon's view was far too extreme. Growler didn't like some red students either, but this was beyond reason. As they bickered, they heard cheering and enthusiastic shouts outside. Napoleon paused to listen. That the student you're betting on? That's right. Amagi Hikaru. The strongest, most refined fusionist in Duel Academy, he's our new apex. Growler declared. He immediately got up and headed outside, with Napoleon following. Growler intercepted Hikaru at the stage. Hikaru bowed and asked if something was wrong. Growler hesitated, then smiled. Don't feel pressured, Hikaru. Just duel as you normally would. Understood. Thank you, Professor, Hikaru said without probing further. He could tell Growler had something on his mind, though, since Napoleon was right there, this wasn't the time to ask. He nodded to Napoleon and proceeded to the arena. Napoleon, who had been away all year, hadn't seen Hikaru before. But now that he had, his first impression was decent. If he loses to Professor Rox, then per our agreement, you'll adopt my strategy. Growler remained silent. Rox, a professor loyal to Leo Akiba, taught dimensional theory to second years and had impressive dueling achievements. He was far too strong for a promotion duel opponent. Per school rules, Hikaru should have faced a third-year Obelisk Blue student. Still, Growler had struck a deal with Napoleon. Regardless of the outcome, Hikaru would be promoted to Blue. Their wager stemmed from a prior argument. Napoleon believed the academy needed a complete overhaul, cutting out failures and restarting admissions. Zane's loss had left students demoralized. They'd lost focus. Sponsors were getting skeptical. So Napoleon wanted radical change. Growler, unwilling to let students lose their place of growth, nominated Hikaru as the academy's new pinnacle. Over the past year, Hikaru and his friends had taught Growler many things. They helped him realize that education wasn't just about grades, it was about life and the future. Even red students had potential. Casting them out would be a mistake. He still believed Zane would return stronger than ever. That said, he didn't want Hikaru to shoulder this burden, so he said nothing. Unfortunately, his silence was in vain. Because as Hikaru stepped onto the stage, students packed the stands, cheering his name. Their gloom from Zane's defeat vanished. After all, Hikaru's duels were always bizarre, unique, and fun. Perfect for lifting spirits. This was part of why Growler timed the duel to coincide with the arrival of the American branch students, no favoritism. What Growler didn't expect, though, was for Napoleon to hijack the academy's stream while he was backstage. Before Growler could stop him, Napoleon publicly revealed their wager. Now, every student knew this wasn't just a promotion test. This duel would determine the future direction of Duel Academy. Debates, cheers, shouts, and curses, they all reached Hikaru as he saw a teacher in a purple uniform take the stage. How could they dump something so important on Hikaru? Bastian shot to his feet. I'm going to talk to Napoleon. Chaz slammed the table. What does the school's future have to do with Hikaru? This isn't his burden. The Tyler sisters exchanged glances, eyes gleaming with intrigue. For two thrill-seekers, this kind of action on day one was pure excitement. So this was it. Hikaru understood everything now. This had happened in the original, but back then, it was Growler and Napoleon dueling over Slifer Red's fate. Thinking that, Hikaru smiled. Amidst the worried stares, he looked up at the roof camera and shouted. Don't worry, Professor. No matter what kind of duel it is, I won't back down. I'll give everyone my answer. Chapter 212, The Beginning of the Strange Duel. The venue was packed with students. Everyone, from the ones who usually slacked off in clubrooms, flirted, studied seriously, or napped in their dorms, had gathered to watch this duel. Hikaru glanced around. Some students from his year shouted his name, cheering him on. Members of the Fusion Club called out things like "Go, Club President," and "Hikaru, we believe in you." He waved back, then noticed Selena seated in the front row, surrounded like a queen. Seeing her cheering made him chuckle softly. Previously, due to her identity, Selena couldn't openly cheer for Hikaru during duels. But now, she was officially a first-year student at Duel Academy. Not just that, she was the freshman representative and could go anywhere on campus freely. Recently, she'd been quite active. Given her identity, it was no surprise that many students were eager to tag along with her. After all, she was not only a representative and a grade skipper, but also Professor Akiba's daughter, the head of the Polymerization Club, and the disciple of Amaji Hikaru, the head of the opposing Fusion Club. With a background like that, no student would dare cause her trouble. Speaking of the Fusion Club, Hikaru looked at his opponent, a polite, bespectacled teacher. Good day, Professor Rox, Hikaru greeted politely. Ah, long time no see, Hikaru. Rox adjusted his glasses with a gentle smile. Ever since we parted ways in the Polymerization Club, I haven't seen you around. Rox was one of the professors in the Polymerization Club, nominally under Leo Akaba. Emphasis on nominally. Professors weren't students. They had careers, lives, and adult responsibilities. While they worked for the club, beyond Principal Shepard's assignments, it was ultimately about one thing: benefit. Dreams? Hikaru never felt any such aura from Rox during his time in the Polymerization Club. That said, Rox had never looked down on Slifer Red students either. He just seemed like a normal clock-in, clock-out kind of teacher. After a simple greeting, the duel began without delay. Rox, LP, 4000. Hikaru, LP, 4000. My turn, draw, Rox said calmly, drawing a card and glancing at it with a smile. He held up a card. Normal summon, Test Ape. A wiry ape with a metallic arm and wires wrapped around its head danced onto the field. Test Ape, Level 2 Earth Beast 700 ATK. Hikaru instantly recalled its effect. When destroyed in battle, it special summons a Level 4 or lower Gladiator Beast from the deck. So he's using Gladiator Beasts. Makes sense for a teacher from the Fusion Army. And with that, I end my turn. Hikaru blinked. He wasn't the only one. Students all around began whispering. What? That teacher only summoned a monster with 700 ATK? Shaz said, confused. Test Ape summons a level 4 or lower Gladiator Beast when destroyed by battle, but... Bastion recognized the card. It had been used by elite members of the Polymerization Club last year. But Test Ape isn't a Gladiator Beast itself, so even if you summon one, it can't tag out. Weird. If that's the case, why didn't he set any cards? Selena asked, her impression of duelists being all-out fighters. The concept of holding back didn't even occur to her. Then is the professor doing this on purpose? Alexis asked in a hushed voice. Bastion nodded. Yes. No matter how you looked at it, there's no way Professor Rox only had Test Ape. No back row, no other summons, something was off. The likeliest explanation, he was throwing the match. Hikaru drew for turn, glanced at his hand, and after a moment of hesitation, played a card. Activate spell, Fusion Armament. I reveal a fusion monster from my extra deck, then special summon one of its listed materials from the deck or graveyard in defense position. Its effects are negated, and it can't attack until the opponent's next end phase. He revealed Dark Flare Knight from his extra deck. I special summon Flame Swordsman. A surge of fire erupted as a proud swordsman leapt into view, confidently resting his blade on his shoulder. Flame Swordsman, Level 5 FIR Warrior 1600 Def. Due to Fusion Armament's effect, it can't attack and its effects are negated until your next end phase. I end my turn. Ha! What kind of duel is this? Today's match is weird. Whispers spread like wildfire. Even Napoleon, watching from the crowd, couldn't stop sweating. He pulled out a handkerchief to wipe his brow. What is this? Something feels off. And then, it got stranger. Rox glanced at Hikaru's summon monster, adjusted his glasses again, and said. Defense position summon, Gladiator Beast Rishiari. A lizard-like warrior appeared, wielding a steel trident and a net for capturing enemies. It let out a cry before crouching down. Gladiator Beast Rishiari, Level 3 Water Rockwade 00 Def. Now. Hikaru understood completely. I end my turn, Rox said. Hikaru immediately challenged him, Professor, what are you doing? What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? Rox's eyes glinted with madness and conviction. I want to lose to you, too. That way, the Academy will be completely under your control, right? With this, he delivered a brutal lesson to Napoleon. Not everything will go the way you plan. This teacher battling Hikaru had his own ambitions and purpose. Chapter 213, Slaves and the Emperor. Rox lightly pushed the center of his glasses with one hand, the smile on his face now looking somewhat deranged. I've been observing you for a long time, long before anyone else. Before your so-called mentor Growler, even before your true teacher, Professor Banner. Hikaru raised an eyebrow. Just from that one line, Hikaru realized he wasn't lying. After all, most students only knew Growler as Hikaru's mentor. But Rox clearly wasn't one of them. I saw you before anyone else even knew who you were. Holding his hand of cards, his right index finger gently tapped the side of his glasses as he recalled, you were a unique student. Typically, students who joined the Fusion Club back then were either from poor backgrounds and had no strong cards, so they joined to get access to cards, or they were afraid of other summoning methods and clung together for comfort. Some joined to enjoy a more elite status and used the club to bully weaker students. Others were just failures who joined because blue dorm students could harass students from other dorms without consequence. And it was during that time that you joined. With a snap of his fingers, Rox pointed at Hikaru. In your debut Fusion Club duel, you declared, Fusion only needs fusion. During club activities, you ignored everything else, spending your free time obsessively checking your deck as if expecting it to transform. The rest of the time, you'd challenge fellow club members to pure duels. No ulterior motives. You didn't care about the strange looks from blue students or bullying red dorm students. He glanced toward the audience. A lot of the people cheering for you now used to hassle you, didn't they? But now they've conveniently forgotten all that and are cheering sincerely. His words made many bow their heads. It was true. While Hikaru was now extremely popular, he had once been a prime target for Fusion Army pressure. He'd never had it easy. That actually happened. Selena clenched her fists in frustration. Damn it! If I'd been here then, I would have taught those punks a lesson. Alexis responded with a polite, awkward smile. Fascinating, so he came from that kind of environment? Gloria Tyler nodded repeatedly. That just makes the battle more fun, sis. Exactly. Rox took off his glasses, wiped them with a cloth, then put them back on and looked straight at Hikaru. But I still saw it. Your intentions were never pure. From the very start, you were planning to tear down the Fusion Club and take it for yourself. Hikaru raised an eyebrow again. He'd never denied that. If this teacher had really been watching since the beginning, he should have already known. And sure enough, before long, you quit the Fusion Club, founded your own, and openly opposed Professor Akaba's version. You even stole the name Fusion, forcing them to rename themselves the Polymerization Club. He grinned widely. Isn't it hilarious? They thought you were like Zane, but they were wrong. You're nothing like him. Zane respects opponents, is kind to everyone, and looks out for his juniors. But you came in ready to clash with the Polymerization Club and seize power. And why not? If you've got the talent, why hold back? I know you have that power. The way you resonate with Shad Dolls proves it. Your darkness, your ability to control others, is real. He laughed madly. Ordinary people just don't get it. What's with this respect nonsense in dueling? Zane lost and became a mess. How is that a duelist? Victory. Domination. Turn the weak into slaves. As he ranted, his testate beside him flinched, visibly trembling. He sneered. That is what a duel truly means. A literal duel. If you win today, you'll become the Academy's de facto ruler. Even the acting principal is depending on you to achieve their goals. That's enough to make you the emperor of this academy. He stretched out his hand toward Hikaru. Come now, all you have to do. You've been babbling forever. Are you done yet? Hikaru interrupted coldly. You're spouting nonsense, just one incoherent theory after another. Rox froze. Everyone's here to see a duel, not to listen to your deranged philosophy. Hikaru snapped his dual disc forward like a reaper's scythe. There's only one reason I oppose those people. Because they don't fuse. Just like you. You don't fuse either. I don't care about your worldview. I'm not interested in your twisted lectures. You're not my teacher, and you're not my elder. Listen carefully. I'm standing on this stage not to become Obelisk Blue, not to be the school's top student, but because the professor I respect most, Professor Growler, asked me to. So no matter what, I will see this through. Whether I become Obelisk Blue or the Academy's ace afterward doesn't matter. And as for this school's future? That's a decision for Growler. No, for acting principal Growler to make. Right now. Hikaru's expression turned stern as he glared at his opponent. Fight me seriously. Only by beating you at your best will this duel have any meaning. Only then will it support acting principal Growler's decision. Only a serious duel won't waste the students' time. They came here expecting a fight. Don't send them home disappointed. In a hidden dimension, Leo Akaba, watching the duel despite his busy schedule, nodded slightly. Rox's assumptions had been far too naive. As Growler's star pupil, Hikaru's resolve couldn't be read so easily. Rox gritted his teeth, glaring viciously at Hikaru. You're such a disobedient child. He growled. Fine, we'll do this another way. Ha. You think you can beat a teacher without me holding back? Then I'll crush you and claim Napoleon's authority myself. Makes no difference. You're full of lies, Hikaru scoffed. Quick play spell, Gladiator Taming. Rox drew a card, his expression cold. The art depicted Gladiator Beast Tigerius flogging Gladiator Beast Undul with a whip. If I control a Gladiator Beast, I can activate this card. I target one of your monsters and force it to change its battle position. Now, pick up that sword, legendary swordsman. Crack. The whip lashed across Flame Swordsman's back, forcing him into an attack stance. Flame Swordsman, Def ATK, 1800. Test Ape, attack. If you're a test subject, then die like one. The trembling ape squealed and lunged at Flame Swordsman, only to be cleaved in half by a swift counterattack. Rox, LP, 4000-2900. When Test Ape is destroyed by battle, I can special summon a level 4 or lower Gladiator Beast from my deck. Come forth, Gladiator Beast Bestiari. Classic Bestiari. Then, at the end of the battle phase, I return Bestiari and Rishiari to the deck to summon an even stronger beast. The requirements are Bestiari and any Gladiator Beast. From my extra deck, I special summon Gladiator Beast Gizzerus. A dark-armored warbird with steel wings swooped down onto the field. Gladiator Beast Gizzerus, level 6 DRK Winged Beast ATK 2400. Gizzerus's effect. When special summoned, it can destroy up to 2 cards on the field. Gizzerus, shred that meddling swordsman. With a flap of his wings, Gizzerus launched a storm of razor feathers, shredding Flame Swordsman to pieces. Oof. So? That's a teacher's real strength. Just because you're popular doesn't mean you're stronger than your teacher, Rox sneered, sizing Hikaru up. If you're willing to let go of your silly ideals, then maybe. Meanwhile, Hikaru casually brushed the dust off his uniform. All right. In that case, I'll treat this as my first turn. Seeing his indifference, Rox clenched his fists so tightly he began to shake with rage. Chapter 214, Overthrow. Damn it. I set one card and end my turn. Professor Rox gritted his teeth, his usual refined expression now twisted. The students didn't know what to say. Some were genuinely shaken by the scenario Rox painted, afraid of what it meant for Duel Academy to fall under Hikaru's rule. Others insisted Hikaru wasn't like that at all. Hikaru didn't even bother acknowledging Rox's framing. He cared only about fusion, only about this duel. Even so, of course, plenty of students couldn't see his real intentions. Should we say something? Alexis asked softly. Don't be ridiculous. Master only cares about fusion. He'd never do any of that. Selena snapped, jumping up in anger and nearly stepping on the table. She was ready to throw hands until Alexis, knowing her well, held her back before things escalated. Hikaru. Jaden murmured. He understood better than anyone how dangerous rumors could be. No, Chaz muttered, shaking his head. This is right. If he tried to explain, to prove himself, he'd fall into a trap. Then rocks could attack him from every angle. But Hikaru ignored it. He cares only about fusion. Whether the polymerization club fuses or not. Nothing else matters to him. Even if there's infighting among students, it'll blow over eventually. Exactly, Atticus added seriously. Hikaru was both rational and pure. If he responded or tried to argue, he'd be playing Rox's game, falling into the rhythm and becoming his slave. Bastion nodded. They had all realized it. What Rox wanted wasn't an emperor. He wanted a slave. Someone powerful, obedient, and gullible enough to believe his lies. My turn. Droll Hikaru drew and flipped a card. Activate normal spell, Shad Doll Fusion. Oh. Shad Dolls? More of that dark power again? Since you have a monster special summon from the extra deck, I can use materials from my deck. I send Shad Doll Hedgehog and Elemental Hero Burstinatrix to the graveyard to fusion summon. Gem of the Sky that resonates with allies. Now, absorb grudges, hatred, pain, and take on a new form before me. Fusion Summon. Level 7. El Shad Doll Grista. As Hikaru called its name, red threads surged from all directions, weaving together like seraphic wings. A massive stone knight slowly rose beside him, towering like an ancient mythic titan. El Shad Doll Grista, Level 7 FIRROC 2450 ATK. Whoa, that form. Is that Crystal's new form? Wait, that's a Shad Doll too? That must be one of Hikaru's new alchemic creations. Graveyard effect of Shad Doll Hedgehog activates. When sent to the graveyard by a card effect, add one Shad Doll monster from the deck to hand. I add Shad Doll Falco. Hikaru revealed the new lower-level Shad Doll, a new card Tiara had helped him craft after acquiring her second component. Battle. Grista attacks. Primordial Downfall. Captain Crystal raised a massive fist and swung at the shadowy bird. Trap card, activate, defensive tactics. If I control a face-up gladiator beast, my monsters can't be destroyed by battle this turn, and I take no battle damage. This card also returns to the bottom of the deck instead of going to the graveyard. Rox activated his trap, displayed it briefly, then shuffled it into the bottom of his deck. Also, at the end of the battle phase, Gladiator Beast Gizzerus returns to the deck, and I special summon two different Gladiator Beasts. I summon Gladiator Beast Tigerius and Gladiator Beast Murmillo. Gizzerus lazily flapped its wings and exited the field. Two new beasts rushed out to replace it. Tigerius was a tiger wielding a long sword and mechanical wings, a truly fearsome sight. In card lore, he was effectively the Gladiator Beast's mid-tier enforcer, responsible for managing the slave beasts. Murmillo was a fish. Gladiator Beast Tigerius, Level 4 Earth Beast 1800 ATK. Gladiator Beast Murmillo, Level 3 Waterfish 800 ATK. Murmillo's effect: when special summoned by a Gladiator Beast effect, target one face-up monster on the field and destroy it. I choose Grista. Tigerius's effect: when special summoned by a Gladiator Beast effect, discard one Gladiator Beast card to add one from deck to hand. I discard Gladiator Beast Alexander and add Gladiator Beast Darius. Rox launched a flashy combo that overwhelmed most spectators, yet Hikaru stayed calm. At the moment Tigerius activates her effect, I respond with quick play spell, Diffusion. I return Grista to the extra deck and special summon the two monsters used to fusion summon it from the graveyard. The two materials return to the field. Ha! Escaped for now, but it doesn't matter. Rox grinned. Next turn, I'll wipe them out again. Hikaru showed his hand. Equip spell, Nephi Shad Doll Fusion. Equip only to a Shad Doll monster. Declare an attribute, the equipped monster becomes that attribute. It's not particularly useful, but I declare light. The black, misty hedgehog suddenly erupted with blinding brilliance. An equip spell? Rox raised a brow. Hikaru continued. During my main phase, Nephi Shaddol Fusion lets me send fusion materials from my hand or field to the graveyard and fusion summon a Shaddol Fusion monster. Come forth once again, Grista. The Red-Winged Titan returned. Heh, so we're right back where we started, Rox scoffed. I just need to summon Gizzerus again next turn. Whoa. I didn't know the Gladiator Beast deck could do all that, Bastion muttered, sweating. The versions used by other students weren't nearly as complete or powerful. All those chains and resets made Rox look terrifyingly strong. Hikaru glanced at his hand, then set one card. I set one card and end my turn. Ha ha ha. My turn. Droll Rox smiled darkly. It's too late to back down now. Normal summon, Gladiator Beast Darius. I return Darius and Murmillo to the deck to special summon Gladiator Beast Gizzerus. The Dark Bird returned. But this time, all that Emperor and slave nonsense, this is just a duel. Hikaru snapped. Grista's monster effect. When my opponent special summons a monster, negate the summon and destroy it. What? As cost, I send a Shaddol monster from my hand to the graveyard. I send Shaddol Falco. And Falco's effect activates, it comes back face down in defense position. Gizzerus was never even born. It was caught in crimson puppet strings and shattered before it landed. TCH. Rox cursed under his breath. But then he looked at the card he just drew and grinned. Emaki Hikaru, your strength is unmatched. Nonetheless, you're still a student. You're no match for a teacher. I activate spell card, Test Fusion. Test Fusion? Hikaru furrowed his brow. A card from Arc V, maybe? Send 2 Test Ape monsters from my hand to the graveyard to special summon a Gladiator Beast monster from my extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Don't think taking down Gizzerus means you've won. I send 2 Test Apes from hand to graveyard and special summon level 8, Gladiator Beast Heraklinos. A towering gladiator with shield and axe emerged in blazing flames. Gladiator Beast Heraklinos, level 8 Fire Beast Warrior 3000 ATK. Its ATK is the same as Blue Eyes White Dragon. It has such a terrifying presence. Students near the front could feel Heraklinos' oppressive aura, as if it looked down on all life. Battle. Heraklinos, attack Grista. Hikaru, LP, 3450. Grista's effect, when sent to the graveyard, add 1 Shaddol spell card from graveyard to hand. I retrieve Shaddol Fusion. No matter. Murmillo attacks your face-down monster. I activate my set card, El Shaddol Fusion. Fusion summon using Shaddol monsters from my hand or field. Not so fast. Heraklinos effect. Discard 1 card to negate and destroy your spell or trap. Burn, damn fusion. Then negate it. Murmillo's ATK was 800. Falco's def was 1400. Professor Rox, LP, 2900-2300. But Rox had achieved what he wanted. End of battle phase. Murmillo's effect. Return to deck, then special summon Gladiator Beast Hoplimus in defense position. Gladiator Beast Hoplimus, level 4 Earthrock 2100 def. When special summoned by a Gladiator Beast effect, Hoplimus's def becomes 2400. TCH. End turn. S so strong. One student swallowed hard. He was terrifying. Even for non-duelists, Rox's storm of destruction and recursive summons was impressive. If not for Grista's negation effect, he could have looped Gizzerus repeatedly. Rox could make mistake after mistake, but Hikaru had no room for even one. With a deck that strong and piloting it so efficiently, no wonder Rox tried to manipulate Hikaru. That said, in the face of crisis, how would Hikaru respond? Students stared anxiously, trying to read his expression. Yet. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hikaru calmly drew his next card. I told you. I want this duel to be one that does Professor Growler justice. Ha! Then now you understand the gap between students and teachers. A gap? That doesn't matter to me, Hikaru muttered, gears turning. I said last turn was my first turn. So even though you took LP damage, up until Murmillo attacked, it was still a 4000 LP turn. Huh? So? Hikaru drew sharply. This hand will deal over 4000 damage. What? Can he really do that? Didn't he already use up so many cards? Does he even have enough fusion options left? He does. Of course he does. Selena's eyes lit up. She saw it coming. First, spell card, Shaddol Fusion. I send Elemental Hero Avian from deck and Shaddol Falco on the field to graveyard. Fusion summon Wind El Shaddol, Wendigo. El Shaddol Wendigo, level 6 WAND Psychic 2800 def. A 2800 def monster? What's the point of that? Next, spell card, Dark Calling. Dark Calling, ah! Last turn, he sent a fire monster. This turn, he sent a wind one. I banish Burstinatrix and Avian from the graveyard to fusion summon one monster that requires Dark Fusion. Come forth. Level 6. Evil Hero Inferno Wing. Yes, an evil hero. Evil Hero Inferno Wing, level 6 FIRFIN to 100 ATK. And finally, my last card. You've been watching me, Professor, so I'm sure you already know what it is. No way. Activate Equip Spell. Spirit Illusion. Rox's eyes flew open. It was that card, the one Hikaru used to claim victory when he joined the Fusion Army. Equip only to a level 5 or higher fiend or zombie fusion monster. If it attacks, the attacked monster's ATK is reduced by the equipped monster's original ATK. And that's not all. Inferno Wing has a stronger effect than Flame Wingman. When it destroys a monster by battle, inflict damage equal to the higher of its original ATK or DEF. Heraklinos had 3000 ATK. So that meant 1200 from the reduction, plus 3000 effect damage plus 600 from Murmillo's earlier counter. Total equals 4800. More than 4000. Battle. Inferno Wing. Crush that pathetic so-called leader, that so-called emperor. The seductive devil grinned savagely, leapt forward, and drove her claws straight into Heraklinos' throat. KABOOM. Winner, Amagi Hikaru. Chapter 215. In the principal's office, watching the duel end, Growler jumped onto the desk in excitement, stomping and dancing bizarrely on the table while punching the air with enthusiasm. Yes. As expected of Amaki. Amazing. Super Mamma Mia. Ha ha. It wasn't until he realized where he was and what he was doing that he quickly coughed twice, jumped down from the table, clasped one hand behind his back to pose like a master, and discreetly used his left hand to tidy up the desk. However, Dean Napoleon wasn't in the mood to scold or remind him about decorum. At that moment, Napoleon sat slumped in his chair, pale and despondent, looking utterly dejected. As the duel ended, the virtual projections slowly faded. Hikaru gathered his cards from his duel disk, activated the autosort function to organize his deck, then withdrew it and let the duel disk retract automatically. He then raised both hands to wave at the students on either side, smiling and thanking them. That was incredible, Master. Selena beamed brightly, waving enthusiastically at Hikaru. You fought amazingly. She had previously only seen pre-recorded or streamed duels. Watching Hikaru duel live, up close in the front row of the Academy duel arena, and seeing the towering shadow of the rock-like fallen angel clash with its opponent, she was so fired up, she almost wanted to duel someone right then to release her excitement. So cool. Fusion. A few upperclassmen smiled wryly at her overexuberance. At first, Selena hadn't shown much emotional fluctuation. Perhaps it was because Professor Akaba had raised her too ruthlessly. She didn't seem like a normal girl. Back then, they found her hard to approach. But Selena was serious about dueling and always respectful, so everyone grew fond of her. Over time, they realized she simply lacked common sense, not feelings, and that made them even more willing to help her. Because of her, they could somewhat understand why Zane felt compelled to help his juniors. Meanwhile, after finishing his duel and bowing, Hikaru turned around just as Rox, who had collapsed to one knee after his defeat, finally came to his senses. Rox stood and tried to stop Hikaru. Wait, Amaki. I still have something to say. Hikaru paused and glanced back at him. You're certainly strong. Regardless, in this world, this universe, or in countless others, there are beings even stronger than you. If you can't. But Hikaru didn't let him finish. He turned and walked straight toward the lounge. He still needed to wait for Professor Growler. Rox kept talking. However, when he realized Hikaru was completely ignoring him, he finally gave up, staring blankly as Hikaru walked away. What Rox said during the duel hadn't been a lie. Hikaru wasn't trying to win over the students by showcasing his fusion power. He had simply come to duel. The greatest form of contempt isn't words or glares. It's two words: total silence. Through his actions, Hikaru had already told Rox he had zero interest in his philosophy. Could someone this pure really exist in the world? Just someone who purely loves fusion? Hikaru arrived at the lounge, rubbing his head. Beside him, Tiara, who had spent the duel mostly watching her own creations and internally praising her own artistic genius, finally decided to speak. Hikaru, the human earlier, from my perspective, really did believe what he was saying. He genuinely wanted to help you become the emperor of the academy. Which means, even though he's technically that Akaba something subordinate, his intentions weren't aligned with him. She tilted her head, stroking her chin as she explained to Hikaru. Hikaru nodded. To her, Rox was a bit of an oddball. Nevertheless, to Hikaru. What's the big deal? Just another slightly unhinged teacher. In the original, Duel Academy had plenty of teachers like that. Duel Academy has always been a haven for eccentric geniuses. Every teacher in the series had their own quirks. Curry freaks, poison-happy medics, even Growler, though a good teacher, was a true aristocrat. And then there were the big names. Principal Shepard wasn't just a teacher, but the global head and grandmaster of the cyber style. And that was just the public-facing staff. Professor Banner, who looked weak and cat-obsessed, was actually the world's greatest alchemist, a creator of artificial life and philosopher's stones. There were other masters, too. Duel Academy's main and branch campuses were full of prodigies. Even the West Branch's Professor Cobra was able to overwhelm even near-peak Jaden with his auto-win monsters. These were true legends in the game. And if we include manga canon, the list of absurd teachers only grows longer. That might be why, in this world, even someone as obviously unhinged as Professor Akaba can still hold a faculty post. After all, Duel Academy has no shortage of unhinged teachers. Meanwhile, while Hikaru waited. Bang! The doors to the principal's office burst open. Dean Napoleon stormed inside and shouted, "You'll regret this, Growler. I'm the principal now, Dean Napoleon." Professor Growler stood tall, straightening his suit with a radiant expression, clearly no longer cowed by Napoleon. Acting principal. Napoleon retorted angrily. Yet even Growler, who usually hated being called acting, didn't care this time. To him, the loser's shouting was the sweetest music. Dean Napoleon snorted again, spotted Hikaru, and immediately put on a polite face. Amaki-kun, excellent performance. We'll be promoting you to Obelisk Blue. Thank you very much, Dean Napoleon. Napoleon had no complaints about Hikaru. After exchanging a few pleasantries, he threw one last glare at Growler and left. Growler watched him go, smiling like a wolf, chuckling for quite some time before checking the clock and clearing his throat. Then he turned to Hikaru. Amaki-kun, your performance was outstanding. Truly the pride of the academy. You flatter me, Professor. Hikaru entered the principal's office and asked curiously, "Did you call me here for something else?" Originally, he figured he could go back to his normal schedule after the duel. He hadn't expected Growler to summon him afterward. Chapter 216. Yes. Professor Growler sat in the principal's chair, hands clasped together, looking conflicted. Yes, there is one, no, perhaps many things I need your help with, Amaki. He looked to the side, and Hikaru followed his gaze to see an entire wall of monitors inside the principal's office. At that moment, the screens were displaying several images. Some showed dimensions friendly to the Academy, like the ancient Gear Factory dimension. Others showed known parallel worlds. It concerns the new semester's curriculum. Yes, it's related to the dimensions, Growler said. He was well aware that Hikaru and Zane were two very different types of duelists. Both were textbook Academy-style duelists, able to stay calm and calculated even under pressure. But unlike Zane, Hikaru had a more direct and clearly defined pursuit. As a teacher, he never intended to mold Hikaru the same way he did Zane. Therefore, he didn't pressure Hikaru to serve as the new face of Duel Academy. Even when Napoleon had pressured him, he never told Hikaru what was going on. He simply congratulated him on advancing to Blue. First off, congratulations on your promotion to Obelisk Blue. Not surprising, considering who you are. Thank you for your support, Hikaru said. However, I don't think I need to change dorms. I'd prefer to stay in the one I was already using. Professor Sartor has helped me a lot in day-to-day matters. That's fine. Not a problem. Growler nodded. Before Growler had helped Hikaru with funding and card collection, it had always been Sartor who handled Hikaru's daily necessities. He understood Hikaru's reasoning. Moreover, Growler also knew that Professor Sartor was someone who feared loneliness. If Hikaru, the top of RA Yellow, suddenly moved into Obelisk Blue, Sartor would likely be heartbroken. And Growler had no desire to be haunted by that curry fanatic. With that settled, Growler moved on to the main topic. Firstly, while the Academy had lost some attention recently due to Zane Truesdale's losing streak in the pro circuit, that didn't mean the school was entirely forgotten. It had only slightly lost its luster. In fact, over the past 2 years, Duel Academy had only been rising. Even looking back to before Zane enrolled, the trend had always been upward. The reason was simple. Dimensional travel had become the world's most prominent and attention-grabbing topic. Duel Academy's ability to allow students to travel between dimensions and explore alternate worlds was a massive treasure trove for the public and most corporations. Zane's rise to fame had been a huge catalyst. And while his recent losses cooled some enthusiasm, it hadn't extinguished it. After all, following his duel with Aster Phoenix, Zane had gone on to duel several other pro duelists. Though not a winning streak like before, his results were mixed. Even against duelists who had specifically tech-ed their decks to counter him, Zane still won through the right hand of the duelist. Hearing this, Hikaru let out a nearly imperceptible sigh of relief. In the original timeline, Zane's downward spiral after dueling Aster wasn't just due to a shattered mindset. It was also because of two things: pros running hyper-counter decks, and Sartorius' fortune-telling influence. In this world, Aster had long since been scheduled to join the Fusion Club, and his duel with Zane had been fair. So, although Zane had felt a little lost, he quickly recovered. Anyway, from the latest tournament reports, Zane's mental state seemed fine. Still, since he was no longer invincible, both the outside world and the Academy's internal passion had cooled somewhat. That said, at least people outside no longer acted like, as long as you're from Duel Academy, that's good enough. This meant the future prospects of Slifer Red students became a serious issue again. And what Growler was about to bring up was related to this. Now that Hikaru had won, Slifer Red naturally wouldn't be disbanded. In fact, Growler personally wasn't worried about the post-graduation futures of people like Hikaru or Jaden Yuki. Hikaru, for instance, had already become an absolute fusionist and had brand endorsement deals with Gucci and others. His future was secure. But others made both him and the principal very worried. Of course, mostly the principal. Growler himself still held some dissatisfaction toward most Slifer Red students, though not as extreme as Napoleon. After all, most of them had long since given up. That's why the principal came up with a great idea. What did Principal Shepard come up with this time? Hikaru muttered an internal curse. Sure, Shepard was a decent man and had a strong standing in the world of dueling, respected by many. But he had a terrifying trait: nothing he tried to do ever went the way he planned. It always turned into a disaster. No need to look far. The sacred beasts. The Society of Light. The Child King who wanted to destroy the world. All thanks to him. While you couldn't blame the Sacred Beasts incident on him directly, he'd been duped too. The rest? All him. Especially the later source of all evil GX tournament. Just hearing the name made people shake their heads. So, just as Hikaru braced himself mentally, Growler spoke. The principal contacted some of his old friends, members of the board, and even reached out to Kaiba Corp to smooth things over, he said. He believes that the reason Slifer Red students can't improve isn't just laziness. It's also a lack of opportunity and advancement pathways. So, this year, he plans to expand the scale and format of the Academy's dimensional gates and prepare. Hikaru could barely hear the rest. It felt like he was going deaf. Holy hell. After hearing Growler's full explanation, he lightly smacked his forehead to wake himself up. Thankfully, this was something that was supposed to happen in canon. It just made more sense and happened earlier here because this world already had dimensional gates. Sometimes he wondered who really had the power of light dwelling within them. Sartorius? Didn't seem like it. Anyway, since this world already had advanced dimensional research, Principal Shepard wasn't doing things as recklessly as in the original. He'd probably assign staff to manage a large-scale dimensional internship program, sending students to friendly dimensions approved by both the Academy and Kaiba Corp. After all, this kind of work was the hottest thing in the world. Growler wasn't telling Hikaru this to have him babysit or look after other students. Those were jobs for the faculty. He was telling Hikaru because it meant Hikaru would get the chance to explore uncharted dimensions during the Academy's collective internship. Oh. Why didn't he just lead with that? That was great. Hikaru nodded. So this is the top student perk, huh? Lastly, Professor Growler smiled. Student Amaki, you've always been my pride. Stick to your convictions. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Professor. You've always been the teacher I respect most at this school. He really did support Growler becoming principal. After the talk, Hikaru walked out of the principal's office, only to be greeted by two slender, silver-angled figures. The more confident one smirked when she saw him. We've been waiting for you, Maki Hikaru. We were about to fall asleep. Come on, it's time for the battle we promised. The Tyler sisters. After their duel with Professor Rox ended and the arena dispersed, they'd made their way here. Hikaru tapped his forehead. Almost forgot about these two. He'd already used super polymerization to absorb energy a couple of times today. But that worked out. He'd been wanting to test whether using higher-tier alchemy to control super polymerization could increase the number of times it absorbed dual energy. Ever since learning practical D-wheel engineering from UCI, he'd made strides in his own alchemy and wanted to explore more super poly potential. Plus, keeping these two elite members of the Fusion Army just sitting around wasn't ideal either. Tag duel? Sure. But give me a sec. I'll call a friend. A friend? Heh, your friends have already volunteered. They're waiting for you in the duel arena. These guys really didn't want to miss this duel. Who is it? Hikaru asked. What's his name again? The elder sister asked. Looked like a pretty intense guy in a black outfit, the younger said, tilting her head. Chapter 217. Hikaru returned to the duel field, and upon hearing there was still more dueling to watch, a number of students who had been about to leave came running back. Having just seen Hikaru pretend to OTK his opponent, and now hearing that transfer students from America would be tag dueling against members of Hikaru's Fusion Club, most students who didn't have pressing matters decided, no way I'm missing out on today's fun, and stuck around. After all, powerful and interesting duels like this didn't come around often. What's more, duels between the Fusion Club and the Polymerization Club were a long-standing tradition at this school. They had never seen a tag duel between them before. As Hikaru stepped onto the stage, Selena waved excitedly from the other side. The Tyler sisters noticed her and whispered a few words. They had heard about Selena, daughter of Professor Akaba. Even so, the missions involving Selena weren't part of their jurisdiction, nor were they interested in that kind of thing. They just wanted to battle strong duelists. Up on the platform, Ches stood with arms crossed, head slightly bowed, and a smug smile on his face. He looked full of himself. That was how he appeared to ordinary people. But to those attuned to spirit energy, he was surrounded by three bizarre little monsters, chattering, pulling at him, chiding. "Big bro, go for it. Big bro, those opponents are tough, be careful. Big bro. Big bro. Ches senpai, say something. Shut up already." Ches finally cracked, unable to maintain his brooding cool, and yelled at them. "Be quiet. But big bro, those two women are really scary." Yeah. Back in the S dimension, they were terrifying. The trio of Ojama monsters kept pestering him. And now that one spirit had spoken up, more and more low-level spirits appeared around him, bombarding him with warnings, driving him to the brink. Just then, Hikaru approached. The spirits instantly noticed Tiara floating behind him with a cheerful smile. The previously noisy spirits immediately fell silent. Many vanished in fear, even the Ojama brothers huddled behind Chaz. Tiara glanced over at them. The spirits trembled. She hadn't even spoken. She was just hovering along behind Hikaru, resting her cheek on her left palm in midair, waiting for the duel to begin. "Yo, Hikaru, you finally made it. Professor Growler needed to talk to me," Hikaru said, then asked, "You and the others already decided? That fast?" "Ha! Of course, we did, using this." Chaz raised a fist. "Wait, you guys fought?" Hikaru looked alarmed. "What? No. We did rock paper scissors." Chaz waved his hand, alternating between rock, paper, and scissors. So simple. Though actually, it made sense. Jaden wasn't playing. Alexis wasn't playing. In a scenario like this, Chaz really was the most likely to win. "Alright, how long are you all going to keep chatting?" "Yeah, since we're dueling, let's just duel already." Hikaru raised an eyebrow, turned, and reloaded his deck into his duel disc. "That's the spirit." Gloria grinned and raised her duel disc excitedly. "Then first, let's go over the rules," Grace said, raising her left arm and presenting her duel disc calmly. Both of their duel discs had unique designs. Gloria's was the Fusion Army's typical blade type, while Grace's was shaped like a shield. In a tag duel, each team shares the same field and graveyard. You can begin attacking on the second turn. When switching duelists, the inactive partner cannot use cards from their hand or manipulate face-down cards. As for life points, 8,000 per team. Everyone clear? Both sides nodded. Then, let's begin. This is the standard tag duel format adopted since contact with the spirit world. Duel. Tyler Sisters, LP, 8,000. Hikaru and Chaz, LP, 8,000. I'm going first. Gloria drew a card and confidently took a step forward, flashing one from her hand. When I control no cards on the field, I can activate this. I activate the continuous spell card. Quiet Life. The card art depicted a soldier lounging in a chair, blatantly ignoring his commanding officer. Gloria smirked. While this card is on the field, both players are affected by this rule. During any turn a normal summon is conducted, you cannot perform a special summon. Grace added elegantly, and vice versa. Meaning, on turns you special summon monsters, you can't normal summon. Ha! What a bizarre effect. Some of the students in the crowd were stunned. To be honest, duels in this world had always followed the principle, if you don't recognize my card, too bad. Voluntarily explaining one's own card effects was not exactly common practice. Next, Gloria drew a card between her index and middle finger, and in one smooth motion used her middle and ring fingers to pull 2 more cards from her hand. I activate the spell card, Polymerization. No hesitation whatsoever. I fuse Amazonas Queen and Amazonas Swordswoman from my hand. Oh, Queen of the Jungle, take the strength of the brave warrior and forge an empire of dominance. She stretched her arms wide, then curled them into claws as if to embrace the light. Her golden hair billowed despite the still air as she called her ace monster's name. Fusion Summon. Level 8, Amazonas Empress. With her cry, a white-haired warrior woman donning a skull helm and red cape appeared, wielding a massive sword. Her body was strong, her figure powerful, and her explosive physique drew audible reactions from many of the boys watching. Amazonas Empress. Level 8 Eartha Warrior, 2800 ATK. Bastion, seeing the monster, couldn't help but space out slightly. Set 1 card, and end my turn. Gloria's dueling style was simple and direct. She aimed for efficiency, with no flashy gimmicks. With that, her turn ended. A fusion on the first turn? Chaz and Hikaru exchanged glances, then nodded. Draw. Alright then, my turn. Chaz glanced at his hand. Choosing between normal summon or special summon? It was obvious. Of course, he'd choose special summon. And since he couldn't normal summon this turn, that card was now useless. I activate the spell card, Graceful Charity. Starting off strong. Hikaru, watching Chaz open with such a powerful card, felt a bit more relaxed. Chapter 218, It's so good to earn cards. The duel continued. Chaz followed up with the effect of Graceful Charity, drawing 3 cards from his deck. He glanced over them and discarded 2. Graceful Charity's effect, draw 3, then discard 2. I send Oja Magic and Frontline Base to the graveyard. At first glance, his hand size remained unchanged, but he'd already cycled out 2 cards he couldn't use. And not just that. Next, I activate the effect of Oja Magic in the graveyard. When it's sent there, I can activate it. Add 3 Ojama monsters from my deck to my hand. Chaz continued, I add Ojama Yellow, Ojama Green, and Ojama Black to my hand. Chaz pulled the 3 Ojama brothers straight from his deck. Geez, big bro, why do you say such mean things? Ojama Yellow whined, twisting around and grating on Chaz's nerves. 3 monsters with 0 attack. What use are those cards? Grace said, puzzled. Sure, they're weak, but even weaklings have their uses. Chaz didn't argue her point. Instead, he pulled another card from his now thickened hand. They're my materials. I activate the spell card, Ojama Simulation. Reveal 1 Light Machine Fusion monster from the extra deck, then banish any number of Ojama monsters from my hand, field, or graveyard to activate. Then, special summon that many fusion material monsters listed on the revealed card from my hand, deck, or graveyard. I reveal XYZ Dragon Cannon. I banish all 3 Ojamas from my hand. As he did, the Ojamas were sucked into a vortex in the sky. In their place, a massive mechanical monster materialized behind Chaz. What a smooth combo. Bastion nodded in approval. He might have been a little sore about losing rock paper scissors. Even so, seeing his teammate execute such a clean tactic put him in good spirits. Not only did he use Graceful Charity to cycle his hand, he used Oja Magic to fetch the 3 needed Ojamas, then used a fusion-like spell to special summon the fusion materials. Clean and precise, Chaz. It's Chaz Princeton. Chaz yelled. But, heh. You want to special summon monsters? Then I won't be polite either. Gloria raised a hand and, like a commander, flipped her set card. Continuous trap card. Amazonas Hall. A continuous trap? Hikaru saw the card and instantly grasped the situation. Chaz, unaware of the setup, continued his chain. After the hall activated, the monsters Chaz selected were special summoned from his deck. X-Head Cannon, 1800 ATK. Y-Dragon Head, 1500 ATK. Z-Metal Tank, 1500 ATK. And at that moment, Tyler Sisters, LP, 8000-12800. What happened? That blonde's smiling way too smugly. Many students were completely lost. Amazonas Hall's effect, Gloria smirked. As long as this card is on the field, whenever the opponent special summons monsters, we gain LP equal to those monsters' total attack points. Hikaru shook his head as he watched their LP rise. He had thought she might pendulum summon with that card, but it turned out to be the Tier 0 anime version of Hall. Ugh! Chaz finally caught on. Seeing a card like Quiet Life, his first instinct had been to forego normal summons for the freedom of special summons. After all, a single normal summon per turn was nothing compared to the multiple special summons you could unleash. He didn't expect them to predict that mindset so perfectly. He rubbed his brow. It wasn't like he knew nothing about Amazonas. Quite the opposite. In fact, within the Fusion Club, none of the veterans were unfamiliar with the Amazonas archetype. He knew their style: battle damage, reflect damage, direct damage. Trading LP was common. The more LP they had, the bolder their tactics became. What's wrong? Paralyzed? Don't know what to do next? Gloria mocked. In that case, why not end your turn and hand it to Amaki Hikaru? Poof. Can it? Chaz wasn't angered by their taunts. He was deep in thought. There's no turning back now. I unite my three monsters on the field. With his command, the three machines sprang into action. Treads roared, the red mech dragon surged forward, and the head cannon latched on. The three fused into one. Fusion summon, XYZ Dragon Cannon. XYZ Dragon Cannon, Level 8 Light Machine, 2800 ATK. Ha! That's still a special summon. Gloria raised her hand. Tribute, oh, Queen. Feed on these machines. Tyler Sisters, LP, 12,800 15,600. Whoa. 15,600 LP. That's enough for Professor Rocks to duel Hikaru 3 times. Silver-haired Grace gently twirled her hair. Haven't you realized yet? Reckless special summons only make things worse. That wasn't a reckless summon. Hikaru cut in before she could finish. The sisters turned toward the machine. Exactly. Chaz's eyes widened with intensity. XYZ Dragon Cannon's effect. Discard one card, then target and destroy one card on my opponent's field. I discard Masked Dragon. Destroy Amazonas Hall. The cannon barrels on XYZ's back locked onto the sisters' field. As Chaz discarded his card, a deep boom resounded. 2 beams of red light surged between the sisters. Grace shielded herself with both arms from the blinding light. Gloria, a hand on her hip, stared straight into it. When the light faded, the trap card on Gloria's field remained. She coolly explained, too bad. While Amazonas Empress is on the field, Amazonas cards can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Chaz scowled. This was rough. Amazonas Empress's effect rendered their cards indestructible by battle or effects. Even if he kept using XYZ's ability, it would be useless. Damn. He hadn't expected the boss monster to have that kind of effect. He glanced at his hand. Not much there that could help. In that case, I activate the effect of Ojima Assimilation in the graveyard. Chaz gritted through the spirit trio's annoying chatter. Banish this card from the graveyard, then target 3 banished Ojama monsters. Shuffle them back into the deck, then draw 1 card. He was still profiting. After all that, Chaz still had 5 cards in hand. Gloria finally looked uncertain. What was the deal with those worthless-looking cards? Ha! Selena, observing up close, was stunned. Wait, doesn't that mean he just fused a monster for free? Yes, Bastion nodded lightly. That's Chaz's style ever since returning from the Union Hangar dimension. Chaz looked at the card he drew and casually said, "It's Chaz Princeton." Nice. This one was usable. I activate XYZ Dragon Cannon's effect again. Discard 1 card. Destroy Quiet Life. Then I set 2 cards and end my turn. Well played. Hikaru nodded inwardly. Even if the enemy's LP was still troublesome in this world, he personally valued card resources more. And for now, Chaz's turn had gone quite well. You're not bad. Gloria relaxed her stance and looked to her sister. Alright, Grace, it's all yours. MHM, Gloria. Grace softly drew a card between her index and middle fingers, set it by her hand, then slowly lifted another. I've always been curious about this thing called pure fusion. Just how fun can it be? But first... Spell card, Polymerization. Chapter 219. Unlike her sister's bold and aggressive style, the younger sister, Grace, was far more graceful and gentle. So when she performed a fusion summon, her manner was also distinctly different. I fuse Amazonas Baby Tiger and Amazonas Trainee from my hand. Feral beast of the jungle, borrow the gaze of a warrior that locks onto prey. Reveal your new form. She extended her arms, hair, and skirt fluttering in an unseen wind. Fusion summon. Her pale green eyes widened slightly. My beloved beast. Appear now, level 7, Amazonas Petliger. A fierce, one-eyed lion-tiger hybrid roared as it leapt onto the duel field. Down in the crowd, a yellow-clad boy stood up and cheered. Hikaru and the others looked over. One student especially paid attention, Bastion. They all turned or looked back at him. Be it muscle women or tiny girls, Bastion's true love was always tigers. Amazonas Petliger. Level 7 Earth Beast, 2500 ATK. Next, I activate the spell card, Monster Reborn, to revive Amazonas Swordswoman from the graveyard. Not so fast. Chaz instantly flipped his set card. You think I'd let you battle unchallenged? Trap card, Ojama Trio. I special summon 3 useless monsters to your field in defense position. With that, 3 bizarre-looking creatures emerged from his trap card, flying over to the opponent's field. One lay down, one worked out, and the last sipped tea. Just loitering. Ojama tokens. Level 2 Earth Beast, 1000 def. Ha! The revived swordswoman stepped forward with her sword drawn, only to freeze at the absurd scene. Whoops, pardon me. Apologies, so sorry. What are you looking at? Can't you see I'm working out? Grace struggled to maintain her elegant smile. She regretted strengthening her spirit energy during dimensional travel. Now she could hear all the Ojama's voices, and they were making her head throb. Yes. Chaz pumped a fist excitedly. Finally, that girl might be thrown off a little. That's the power of the Ojamas. The stronger the opponent, the more their performance gets disrupted. Hikaru, try to clear those 3 monsters next turn. They only have 1000 defense. Use Ancient Gear's piercing damage. You could do major damage. That won't work. Hikaru side-eyed Chaz and coughed lightly. I can't do that. Why not? As expected of Amaki Hikaru. Gloria's playful demeanor faded. She uncrossed her arms and stared seriously. Grace understood what Hikaru meant. She gently tucked her hair with her right hand and said, as long as Amazonas Petliger is on the field, your monsters can't attack any monster other than it. Gloria smiled, her red eyes wide. And while Amazonas Empress is on the field, my Amazonas cards cannot be destroyed by battle or effects. Ugh! Chaz looked like a dozen Ojamas were bickering in his ears. His whole strategy had just been rendered moot, without even needing a counter. From Hikaru's perspective, Chaz had actually done quite okay. He'd refreshed his hand, destroyed the Quiet Life combo. Despite that, in fact, Hikaru had been hoping Chaz would destroy the Empress, because his memory of her effect was, while this card is in the monster zone, other Amazonas cards you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Turns out, this wasn't the OCG version. Which made sense. In the original show, the Tyler Sisters cards had nothing to do with pendulums, but the OCG version gave them pendulum effects and new support cards like Amazonas Golden Whip Master and Amazonas Silver Sword Master. Hard to believe those weren't based on the sisters. So in this world, they were probably using the anime original cards, meaning Empress herself had protection too, not just other Amazonas cards. Battle. Amazonas Pet Liger attacks XYZ Dragon Cannon. During damage calculation, Pet Liger gains 500 attack. Amazonas Pet Liger, ATK, 2500 3000. Ah! That's Blue Eyes White Dragon tier. Makes sense. The vicious beast lunged at the machine and tore it apart. Hikaru and Chaz, LP, 8000 7800. Amazonas Pet Liger, ATK, 3000 2500. Oomph, nothing serious. Chaz, ever dramatic and spirit-aware, brushed it off. Then, how about the second strike? Amazonas Empress, direct attack. 2800 damage incoming. Chaz swiftly raised a hand. You think I didn't see this coming? Trap card, Burst Rebirth. I pay 2000 LP to special summon one monster from my graveyard facedown in defense position. Come forth, Masked Dragon. And since it was set facedown, the hull wouldn't drain LP. Hikaru and Chaz, LP, 7800 5800. What are you doing, Chaz? Bastion suddenly stood up and shouted. That alarmed Chaz, no one knew Amazonas like Bastion. He, while Amazonas Empress is on the field, all our Amazonas monsters gain piercing. Grace shook her head with a hint of pity. Gloria patted her arm and added, and here's another tidbit. If you somehow remove the Empress with other effects, she'll still activate her ability and revive my Amazonas Queen. I'll still have battle protection. Damn. Honestly, the strategy and reasoning were solid. He just targeted the wrong monster. Battle continues, Grace flipped her hair. Amazonas Empress attacks the set monster. Empress had 2800 ATK. The set Masked Dragon had 1100 DEF. A difference of 1700. Hikaru and Chaz, LP, 5800 4100. With the Empress piercing through the Masked Dragon, their life points took another massive hit. If this had been a solo duel, they'd be in critical condition. Chaz clutched his arm. Though not physically painful like a spirit duel, his pride stung far more. Sorry, Hikaru. Looks like I messed up everything. The spectators mostly agreed. He'd tried his best, but it backfired. Of course, those familiar with Empress couldn't help but mutter that he was dragging the team down. Don't say that, Chaz. Hikaru extended a hand and tapped his forehead. You're the proudest kind of duelist. There's no way you messed up. Everything you did was exactly right. Everything right? Was this just consolation at this point? Wait. No. Suddenly, Chaz's eyes sparked with realization. So that's it. It all makes sense now. His eyes narrowed. I activate the effect of Masked Dragon. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, I can special summon one dragon-type monster with 1500 or less ATK from my deck. I special summon level 1, Flamvulgard. Flamvulgard. Level 1 Fire Dragon 0 ATK, 2000 def. A classic 0 ATK wall. Chaz's deck was full of them, but this one was special, a rare card he pulled during a club draw contest with Hikaru and Jaden. A level 1 tuner monster with 2000 DEF, a high number even in this world. And since it had 0 ATK, Hall wouldn't recover LP either. 2000 defense? Grace raised her hand and softly waved. Still trying to strengthen your defense? Even if we can't clear the Ojama tokens, our Pet Liger and Empress are more than enough. She set 2 cards. Then, I set 2 and end my turn. Chapter 220, easily changed the situation of the battle. Hikaru's turn. He placed the drawn card in his left hand, casually riffling through them while rechecking the field. Their LP was at 4100. The opponent's LP, 15600. The opponent's field had 2 set cards, the continuous trap Amazonas Hall, 1 Amazonas Empress, 1 Amazonas Petliger, and 3 Ojama tokens. With Amazonas Empress on the field, Amazonas cards couldn't be destroyed by battle or effects, and gained piercing. Amazonas Petliger prevented attacks on any monster besides itself. His side had only one monster, the level 1 Flammable Guard. What's wrong, Hikaru? If you're going to surrender, now would be a great time to do it, Gloria said with folded arms and a mocking laugh. Indeed. A level 1 monster with 0 attack, your teammate didn't leave you any real fusion materials. Your deck has way more fusion cards than materials. You won't be breaking our field that easily. Even though their monster zones were sealed, the Tyler sisters' field was rock solid. What good were Hikaru's 6 cards in hand? Hikaru stopped riffling. Surrender? Too naive. 1 card is enough to change everything. What did you say? The sisters echoed. I activate the spell card, Metamorphosis. Oh. It's Metamorphosis. Haven't seen Hikaru use that in a while. Yeah. Ever since gaining access to Shad Dolls, Hikaru's deck synergy had improved drastically. Still, his deck generally operated on a 1-card, 1-play principle. Cards like Metamorphosis, he never wasted them. Metamorphosis. Gloria frowned, trying to recall. Grace, meanwhile, covered her lips with her right hand. This is bad, Gloria. It's Thousand Eyes Restrict. With her sister's reminder, Gloria remembered too. Tribute 1 monster to special summon a fusion monster from the extra deck with the same level. I tribute my level 1 Flammable Guard to special summon the Legend of Legends. The evil of all evils. Level 1, Thousand Eyes Restrict. From the darkness emerged the Eldritch God, its many eyes opening and staring down at its prey. The sisters involuntarily shuddered, arms raised to fight the goosebumps. Thousand Eyes Restrict. Level 1, Dark a Spellcaster 0 ATK. Though it wasn't their first time seeing Hikaru use this grim card, many second years still cheered. Hikaru had used it to defeat many formidable opponents. It was practically a second-year legend. And more importantly, this 1 card could break the entire field. First, with 0 attack, it wouldn't trigger Amazonas Hall, so no LP recovery. Second, it absorbed opposing monsters as equip cards, ignoring the effects of both Empress and Petliger. Third, while it was on the field, no other monster could declare attacks. In other words, with this on the field, Amazonas' strategy of LP trading through combat was nullified. No matter how much LP the sisters had, he could grind them down 1 strike at a time. Damn! Grace murmured. Since the monster would become an equip card, Amazonas Empress's special summon clause wouldn't activate. Her effect only triggers when she leaves the field as a fusion summon. But as an equip card, she's no longer treated as fusion summoned. I activate Thousand Eyes Restrict's effect. I equip one of your monsters. I choose Amazonas Empress. The countless eyes locked onto the Empress. She trembled, her grip on her sword unsteady. Yet, regardless of her fear, once the purple light struck her, she dissolved into nothing and merged with Thousand Eyes Restrict. Thousand Eyes Restrict gains the ATK in def of the equipped monster. Thousand Eyes Restrict, ATK, 02800. The sisters gasped. Battle. Thousand Eyes Restrict attacks Amazonas Petliger. The god's many eyes lit with purple energy. The Petliger crouched low, for standing on end, growling deeply. Not so fast. Flip Trap, Amazonas Hot Spring. A trap card featuring Amazonas warriors relaxing in a hot spring shimmered into view. Once per turn, if we control an Amazonas monster, we recover all battle damage. Your monster is still destroyed, though. Boom! Petliger was destroyed. Regardless, their LP stayed unchanged. Battle phase ends. Ah, so that's what it was. Hikaru had suspected something like Amazonas archers, but this? He glanced at his hand. I now activate the continuous spell, Brilliant Fusion. TCH. Since our Amazonas monster got destroyed, now he can fusion summon freely. No LP gain, Gloria muttered. Ha! Don't assume I'm that predictable. If only one monster can attack, then that's all I need. Hikaru slotted the spell card. When Brilliant Fusion is activated, I send fusion materials from my deck to the graveyard to special summon a Gemknight fusion monster with 0 attack and defense. Ah! Grace was stunned. He bypassed Hall's effect entirely. I send Gemknight Lapis and Gemknight Tourmaline from my deck to the graveyard. Fusion summon. Level 7 Lightning Crystal Gemknight Prismora. They knew this card well. The Thunder-type variant of the Gemknight Crystal line, Hikaru's go-to for field breaking. While weaker than XYZ Dragon Cannon, they had no Empress now. I discard Gemknight Fusion from my hand. Hikaru tossed the card to destroy Amazonas Hall. Prismora raised its shield, light refracting into a beam that shattered the trap card. So strong. That's nuts. Some first years, watching their first duel, gasped in awe. 2 cards, and Hikaru dismantled the Tyler sisters' whole defense line? Though their LP was still high, the field had been flipped. And all that from just one level 1 monster left behind by his teammate. Sorry, Gloria. I should have attacked when Chaz revived that monster. Without that level 1 material, Hikaru couldn't have summoned Thousand Eyes Restrict. What are you saying, Grace? This duel just got way more exciting. Gloria beamed. Come on, Hikaru. Show me more fusion. Hikaru raised an eyebrow at the 2, then casually set 2 cards. Set 2 cards. End turn. Already? Grace looked disappointed. TCH, don't tell me he thinks this little strategy will beat us? Gloria's brows furrowed with irritation. Chaz checked the cards Hikaru had set. Cool. Hikaru, you had this card all along? Put it in the deck just for tag duels. If you want, I'll trade it for B-Buster Drake. Ha! You wish. No deal. While Hikaru had A Assault Core, and Chaz had B-Buster Drake, neither of them had Sea-Crush Wyvern. Otherwise, Chaz would have fused ABC long ago instead of settling for XYZ. Laughing, Chaz visibly relaxed. Damn you, ignoring me. Drawled Gloria, fuming from Hikaru's indifference, yanked her next card. But as she looked at it, her anger turned into a sly grin. She'd drawn Amazonas Archer. That wraps up this part of What If Fusion Deck User in a Different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released 1 day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.